close your eyes. Take a slow, gentle breath and allow this story to guide you into sleep. The city that night was quiet and soft, as if someone had covered it with a delicate silver light of the moon. Narrow streets shimmered after a short summer rain. Old buildings breathed calmly with the peace of past years. In the windows, small lamps were glowing, warm, golden points of light, floating in a deep blue silence. Emma walked slowly along the cobbled street, her hands hidden in the pockets of her light coat. The air smelled of wet earth and blooming linden trees that lined the small path leading to the park. Leaves trembled gently, whispering like quiet secrets. For some time now, she had felt that something in her life had paused. Everything was organized, safe, and yet empty. Work, friends, responsibilities. Everything was correct, but something was missing. Depth, meaning, presence, as if she were standing next to her own life instead of living inside it. So she began to search. At first, quietly, long walks, then books, then quietly, long walks, then books, then conversations with people she had never met before, until one day she saw a small notice about volunteering at a care home on the edge of the city. She didn't know why, but something pulled her there, a soft intuition that maybe that is where she would find the answers she had been looking for. The care home stood on the edge of a forest where the city slowly gave space to nature. The building was old but cared for, with large windows opening onto a quiet garden. In that garden, apple trees grew, and old, bending birch trees, their white trunks glowing softly in the daylight. On her first day, Emma walked slowly down the hallway. She heard quiet conversations, the soft clink of teacups, the gentle shuffle of slippers. The air smelled of tea, soap, and freshly baked cake. And there, she met an elderly woman, sitting by the window in a light armchair. Her hair was silver, her face delicate, like old porcelain, but her eyes were calm, warm, full of light. "Sit down, my dear," she said softly. Emma sat beside her. At first, they spoke of simple things, the garden, the apples, the wind in the trees. But with every visit, their conversations grew deeper, gentler, like a river, slowly revealing its depth. "I never had a great career," the elderly woman said one day, looking out the window. "But I had a husband, and he was my whole world." She spoke of their first dance, their tiny cold apartment, their laughter in the kitchen, tea after arguments, and quiet evenings together. "Love is not about everything being easy," she said gently. "Love is choosing the same person, even when it is difficult." Emma listened and felt something inside her soften, open, change. Those visits began to change her, slowly, quietly, until one evening her phone lit up softly, a message from Daniel. Her heart began to beat faster. Years had passed, since they last saw each other. Once they had made music together. He played, and the world fell silent. She sang, and people forgot to breathe. There had always been music and something more between them, something never spoken. They met in the park under the moon. Daniel stood by the old bench and smiled when he saw her. "Hi, Emma." "Hi, Daniel." They sat down, side by side, and for a moment they simply looked at each other, and then their hands met gently, naturally, as if they had never forgotten. "I was afraid back then," Daniel said quietly. "Me too," Emma whispered. "Now, I don't want to live only half a life." The silence was soft, safe, full. Emma held his hand and said, "Neither do I." The moon shone above them. The trees whispered softly, and they sat together in a silence that was full of love. And they knew that this time they were choosing each other, calmly, consciously, truly. And somewhere in the house by the forest, the elderly woman sat by her window, looking at the night sky. She smiled softly, as if she knew that love always finds its way, even if it needs a little more time. Good night.